Arisen, I knew you loved this world too much to leave it behind. Arisen, I knew you loved this world too much to leave it behind. Well, not much to say at the moment. What? Not much to say at the moment, have you? Welcome, sir. After all, 'tis folly to linger on a single location. There are so many exciting methods of combat to be tried. 'Tis folly to linger on a single location when there are so many exciting methods of combat to be tried. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Your road's been a long one. No use hiding it. I've seen my share of weary counties. Your road's been a long one. Trade towns can make you right sick of crowds. Here, at least, you'll find a bit of trade towns can make you right sick of crowds. Here, at least, you'll find a bit of peace and quiet. Many thanks. Many thanks.
My pack
Your road, trade towns can make you right sick of
We must rest. Though the sun is still up.
your road, trade towns can make you right sick of
We must rest. Though the sun is still up.
Oh, about time finally I got the drag play finally that thing. No. Oh. pet. Chickens.
Should your pack grow over full, have no fear. I'll lighten your load by spreading it out among others. Memory of falling in battle haunts me still. I thought I could forget it. Riding in an ox cart would be a welcome reprieve.
Your road's been a long one. Trade towns can make you right sick of crowds. But here,
Your
this,
road's been a long one. Trade towns can make you right sick of crowds. Here,
you'll find a bit decent one. Many thanks.
you'll find a bit of decent one. Many thanks.
Well, you just came in just with I just had dragon food. The whole town did. I just brought the whole town.
Arisen. I should have expected you may yet linger here.
Arisen.
I knew
I
we'd
should
not
have
be long
expected
apart.
you may yet linger here. I knew we'd not be long apart.
Hail, Arisen! 'Tis plain you've been training diligently in my absence.
Hail, Arisen! 'Tis plain you've been training diligently in my absence.
I had a feeling our paths would cross once more. What marvelous ill fortune.
I had a feeling our
Should you
paths
need
would
to
cross
communicate
once
in
more.
Elvish,
What
pray
marvelous
call
ill
upon me.
fortune.
My master from beyond the rift
Should you
seeks
need
that
to
very
communicate in
item.
Elvish, pray call upon me. My master from beyond the rift seeks that very item.
I felt certain I would find you here, Arisen.
I felt certain I would find you here, Arisen.
All paths fork in the end. There's no sense. It's a happy twist of fate.
All
I
paths
enjoy
fork.
tackling fierce foes
There's
and
no
for
sense.
my
It's a
master
happy
from beyond
twist
the
of
rift.
fate.
Master,
I enjoy
I've
tackling
not-
fierce foes and from my master from beyond the rift.
Will you not miss my company
Master,
once I...
I'm mortal. Will you not miss my company once I'm...
It is an honor to see you again, Arisen. I'm well glad to
It
be
is an honor
traveling by
to
your
see you
side
again, Arisen. I'm well glad to be traveling by your side again.
Think on it.
Think of
Reckon your trade towns can make you right sick.
Your trade towns can make you right sick.
The crowd here.
Crowds here.
At least you'll find a pleasure doing business with you.
At least you'll find a pleasure doing business.
Welcome, sir. You think me a liar? Then buy something to see the truth for yourself. Ah,
Welcome,
I
sir.
see you
Be a
desire
liar.
my
Buy
masterpieces.
something to see
Very well.
yourself. Ah, I see you desire one of my masterpieces. Very well.
I shall have your order crafted in good time. A little patience is all I ask. Hope to
I
see
shall
you
have
again.
your order crafted in good time. A little patience is all I ask. Hope to see you again.
Arisen, I knew you loved this world.
Arisen, I knew you loved this world.
Fair travels, Arisen.
Delighted to meet you.
Fair travel, Arisen.
Delighted to meet you.
What do you do with a lantern's light? Allow me.
Cannot thank you enough.
Do with a lantern's light. Allow me.
Cannot thank you enough.
The person I was hoping.
Grand adventure awaits.
A grand adventure awaits.
I thank you for the chance to hone my swordsmanship, and in good company of that.
I thank you for the chance to hone my
I hope I can count on you in a scrape.
good company of that. I hope I can count on you in a scrape.
Welcome, sir. If you think me a liar, then buy something. The truth for yourself. We are
Welcome,
really
sir.
questions.
Being a liar,
Here you are, sir.
buy something.
Use it well.
Yourself, the answer to the questions. Here you are, sir. Use it well.
Many thanks.
This is a forgery, is it not? A copy, in other words, with no inherent value. What do we have to do with it?
Not
Doesn't
a
like
copy,
it.
in other
The
words, with
original.
no inherent value.
I dare say anyone would be
What do we
fooled
have to do
by
with
it.
it? Certainly identical to the original. I dare say anyone would be fooled by it.
We meet again, Arisen.
We meet again, Arisen.
I'm proud to have served Arisen, and
An unexpected reunion, but you're a welcome
I'm
sight,
proud to have
Arisen.
served Arisen.
As ever, my
An
master from
unexpected
beyond the rift.
reunion,
I happen
You're
to
a welcome
understand
sight,
Elvish.
Arisen. As ever, my master from beyond the rift.
I'll use this chance
I
to
happen
commit
to
myself
understand
fully to
Elvish. I'll use this chance to commit myself fully to the story.
I've a knack for combining materials that I hope you'll find useful.
I've a knack for combining materials that I hope you'll find useful.
Hail arisen. 'Tis plain you've been training diligently in my absence. I'm well glad to be
Hail
travelling by your
arisen.
side again.
'Tis plain you've been training diligently in my absence. I'm well glad to be travelling by your side again.
In your road, trade towns can make you right sick of it.
Your road trade towns can make you right sick of it.
Crowds here. Many thanks.
Crowds here. Many thanks.
If Oxheart's bound for Vernia, I'll need to see some coin before I let you on.
If Oxheart's bound for Vernia, I'll need to see
Thank
some
you.
coin before I let you on.
If Oxheart will not take you anywhere till I've had my due. The sight of yon ox cart has brought
If
all my
Oxheart will not
fatigue
take
to
you
the
anywhere till
fore.
I've had my due.
We're not allowed to.
The sight of yon ox cart has brought
I'm not
all my
trained for
fatigue
this.
to the fore. We're not allowed to.
Have you heard
I'm
the
not
rumor?
trained for this.
Impeccable!
Have you heard the news? Impeccable!
You best make yourself scarce. There's more where that came from.
Best make yourself scarce.
You see so many succumb.
There's more where that
Don't
came
worry.
from. To see so
Thanks.
many succumb. Don't worry. Thanks.
At once, master.
At once, master.
You would gather materials here, master. Can we really afford to carry more?
You would gather materials here, master. Can we really afford to carry more?
I'll wager I can make that shot.
You got quite the hunter's figure.
I'll wager I can make that shot.
You cut quite the hunter's figure.
I'll harvest what I can, should it please you.
I'll harvest what I can, should it please you. One arrow is all.
All right, guys, happy Monday, and I'm sorry, but it is here. It is the season finale of the Kamala Chronicles. You're probably so worried about that because usually season finales are really bad, but it's okay because season two, if I'm being honest, probably starts on Thursday. Tomorrow is the election, so we really had to put everything we had into researching Kamala over the weekend, and I'm telling you, This woman is a dyed-in-the-wool commie. There's no question about that. The amount of things that we are uncovering about her family members. I can't wait later this week or next week to tell you about this doctor in her family that went to Howard that she kind of never mentions and pretends that she was drawn toward Howard University because of a friend of her mother. This woman lies patently. Look, this series has really been a true American horror story. And to be honest, I don't even know if the horror story is, in fact, American. It might be a Canadian horror story, a British horror story, or a Singaporean horror story, which means that it's probably a CIA horror story. So, guys, let's get right into it. Welcome back to Candace. Kamala's family story makes no sense. I mean, that really is our thesis here, our understanding here. It has been plaguing my mind. Her father makes no sense. He is so secretive. They have entirely no relationship. Donald Harris seems to have fallen off the face of the planet. Not something a dad usually does when their daughter is about to become the president of the United States. Those are your thoughts, at least if you're a Democrat. You're going, oh my gosh, she's going to be the first female African American president of the United States. You would expect that he would be so proud and out in the open. But as I said, he remains secretive. And as I'm looking through everything, trying to comprehend why we cannot locate a birth certificate for this man, Donald Harris, we should be able to easily locate a birth certificate. I'm starting to go through all the things that don't add up with him. For example, we know for a fact that he attended underground Marxist meetings in his youth in Jamaica. Apparently, as I've learned from the family member, the Harris family member that has been open with me, he basically says, look, there were these nighttime meetings that took place in the basement at the University of West Indies, and Donald would frequently attend them with other Harris family members. We similarly cannot find a birth certificate, as I said, for his only full sibling. So Donald Harris only has one full sibling. That individual's name is Kenneth Harris. And we can't find a birth certificate for Kenneth either. In Jamaica, this is where we have been looking for birth certificates. We've been out to the office, like you should be able to just file and say we want a birth certificate. We've now filed and paid to receive it twice with the registrar's office. One was due today. We have not received it. We filed for one weeks ago and never received it. It's just all very shady. Of course, we noted that Donald goes through great pains not to mention much about his mother, Beryl, in the piece that he wrote for the Jamaican Times, rather the Jamaican Global Online. And it's very interesting because it almost appears like she's an afterthought. He just writes one sentence about her as if he didn't know her. We also know Kamala, of course, outright lied about who Beryl was. She presented a picture. It was not Beryl. Interestingly, when she presents that picture of Grandma Beryl in her book, allegedly Donald's mom, there's nothing in the book about Beryl. It was just a photo put of Beryl in the pictorial section of the book, and then she sort of mysteriously drops Beryl in a later publication a couple of months later, which is supposed to be for youth readers. But youth readers like photos, so why would you present less photos and drop your grandmother, who you don't even mention in the book at all? And of course, to jog your memory, there was Dorothy, the woman who came forward and sat down with Lady C, and she said that she remembered Kenneth. He was a very good-looking guy. He had a motorcycle. We know that they had money, and she was so sweet. But one of the things that we didn't speak about enough is the fact that Dorothy says that she didn't know Donald at all. She never knew Donald. Take a listen.
I don't know her other son, who was Kamala's father. I know of him, but I have never met him.
Like I said, very interesting. We also know and have gathered that Donald traveled extensively in his youth, and that may be the reason why she didn't know him. Maybe he simply was not around in Jamaica in his youth. We've learned from a family member that he traveled a lot, but also Donald himself admits that he traveled a lot, extensively through South America, in Asia. He's been all around the world. For what reason? Apparently just for education. That was the impression that his family was left with of why Donald would be gone for long periods of time. And then when he returns, he's suddenly in these underground Marxist meetings. Very interesting. Now I want to remind you about another person in politics who we have mentioned throughout this series, who had a similarly shady background, because some of you guys were absolutely shocked to learn the truth about Barry Soetoro. known to some people as Barack Obama, known to me and his close friends and his relatives as Barry Soetoro, a man who grew up in Indonesia, lived as Barry until he graduated college, was raised by his grandparents. I hate to be redundant here, but I do want to jog your memory with this clip of a news station, which uncovered really what was the only remaining relic of Barry Soetoro in Indonesia, which indicate to us, yeah, they tried to completely delete this. They tried to disappear his record in Indonesia. Take a listen.
As Senator Barack Obama has made his run for president, some have questioned his background, particularly the 4 years he spent as a child in Indonesia. He was educated in 2 schools, first a Catholic school and then later a public school. Mamahar traveled to Indonesia to take you to both of the schools the candidate attended.
This is the Assisi Catholic Grammar School in Jakarta, Indonesia. And Barack Obama is on his way to becoming its most famous former student. The only record of Obama having attended the school is this old register. And look, it lists his name as Barry Soetoro. That's the name Obama took from his Indonesian stepfather, Lolo Soetoro.
Yeah, typically when you have to register in school, you have to show documents of what your name is. So he legally changed his name to Barry Soetoro, enrolled in the school. And then, like I said, they tried to delete every record of this, but fortunately, Inside Edition was able to locate just one. Of course, then we had on Judge Joe Brown, who informed us that Barry's stepfather, who was also difficult to locate, if you're looking for records of him, if you just do a basic Google search, there's not much said about him. Well, apparently Lolo was intimately involved with the CIA. Again, that is per Judge Joe Brown. Take a listen to what he said to us.
You get Lolo Soetoro running the death squad for the Indonesian government, so that meant you had money. Indonesia might have had access to the world's largest oil reserves as they were perceived at the time. So Standard Oil used his muscle and his position to take over the oil industry in Indonesia, which they couldn't do under American law. So George Herbert Walker Bush, under the auspices of Uncle Herbie, George Herbert Walker, sets up Zapata Oil. They have a family holding company, Zapata Offshore Oil, which was chartered in Kuwait, by the way. Keep that in mind. And what winds up happening is George Herbert Walker, dealt with Lolo Soetoro quite frequently on oil deals. And remember, George Herbert Walker becomes chief of the CIA under the Ford administration, and he deals with the #1 contract guy over in Asia, which when the NAM was going on, Lolo ran intelligence for the CIA under contract in China, North Korea, North Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Indonesia.
Then we learned that Barry goes to Hawaii, which we know was a military outfit. Some of you guys were very shocked to learn that the birther crisis, where was he born, was not a figment of racist imaginations, but rather the result of Barack Obama's first book, which was being promoted by his publisher with a bio that clearly stated that he was born in Kenya. By the way,
sight of prison. As ever, I'm yours to command.
Which, when the NOM was going on, Lolo ran intelligence for the CIA under contract in China, North Korea, North Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Indonesia.
Then we learned that Barry goes to Hawaii, which we know was a military outfit. Some of you guys were very shocked to learn that the birther crisis, where was he born, was not a figment of racist imaginations, but rather the result of Barack Obama's first book, which was being promoted by his publisher with a bio that clearly stated that he was born in Kenya. By the way, do you guys know how that predicament ended? Well, after years of speculation, from the time that he hit the scene of people saying, "You are born in Kenya, we found this stuff, we know you're born in Kenya," Obama then rather gloriously requested a copy of his birth certificate from Hawaii in 2011. And here is the letter that he sent over to the director of health. It says, "Dear Miss Buddy, I'm writing to request 2 certified copies of my original certificate of live birth. With this letter, I hereby authorize my personal counsel, Ms. Judith Corley of Perkins Coie in Washington, D.C., to act on my behalf in providing any additional information or paying any fees required by the Department of Health to fulfill my request. Ms. Corley is authorized to make any necessary arrangements for delivery of the certified copies from your office. Thank you for your assistance. Sincerely, signed Barack Obama." And now, of course, that is of interest because the public should have been able to get his birth certificate. Over all these years, you can just request a birth certificate and you should be able to receive a copy, and yet, for whatever reason, the Hawaiian Department of Health was not providing one for years. Well, he got a response. He received this response very quickly, by the way. I don't know the government to move this quick, but I guess when you're dealing with the President of the United States, you move very quickly. He received this response 3 days later from a woman named Loretta Funny, who was the director of the Hawaiian State Health Department. She wrote to him, "I've reviewed your request for 2 certified copies of your original certificate of live birth. As the director of health for the state of Hawaii, I have the legal authority to approve the process by which copies of such records are made. Through that authority, in recognition of your status as President of the United States, I'm making an exception to current departmental policy, which is to issue a computer-generated certified copy. We hope that issuing these copies of your original certificate of live birth will end the numerous inquiries received by the Hawaii State Department of Health to produce this document. Such inquiries have been disruptive to staff operations and have strained state resources." Now, obviously, this is being written for the public. If I write a letter to the health department, like, "Can I have my birth certificate?" they'll be like yes or no. They're not gonna be like, "Oh, I hope that this clears up the public now." This is written like a PR statement, and indeed it was, because this ended up being released to the public, basically saying, "We don't want to hear any more noise about Barack Obama and where he was born." And so they issued one. But it wasn't exactly case closed. The Maricopa Sheriff's Office, yes, in Arizona, opened a case looking into the copy that Ms. Loretta provided because they suspected that they were looking at a direct forgery of a birth certificate. There was a birth certificate that belonged to someone in Hawaii named Johanna Ani, and they felt certain that Barry's birth certificate was copy and pasted. So they sent the 2 certificates out to 2 different digital document experts that were completely unknown to each other upon different continents. So you got 2 experts on different continents taking a look into this document, and they looked into this for years. And they both of these experts came back with the same conclusion: Obama's birth certificate was a forgery. So the Maricopa Sheriff's Office hosted a press conference to reveal these findings, and this is the video that they revealed to the public in that press conference. Take a listen.
You are looking at 2 long-form birth certificates from the state of Hawaii. According to the dates on the certificates, these births took place in Honolulu during the month of August in 1961, just 16 days apart. The birth certificate on the left belongs to Barack Obama. The birth certificate on the right belongs to Johanna Ani. After 5 years of intense investigation, which included consultation with one of America's most respected forensic document examiners and a team of European media forensic experts, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office has reached a conclusion utilizing forensic techniques both old and new. It is the opinion of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office that the birth certificate on your right belonging to Johanna Ani was in fact used as a source document in the digital creation of Barack Obama's long-form birth certificate. 9 points of forgery in which words, letters, and hand-placed date stamps have been digitally copied from the Ani long-form birth certificate and pasted onto Obama's long-form birth certificate. We'll look at the first 5 points of forgery together, since they were brought over from the Ani document in one group. Ask yourself, what are the odds that 2 stamps in 2 separate boxes, stamped by hand 16 days apart, would have the exact same angle in box 20 and the exact same angle in box 22? First, we'll look at the left stamp. Now the right stamp. It should be pointed out that these stamps were looked at by 2 separate document examiners who specialize in 2 separate forensic disciplines and who reside on 2 different continents. Both agree that these angles are identical on both the Obama document and the Ani document. Now we are going to focus on boxes 6D and 6E within the Obama PDF. It would seem that both X's were taken directly from box 6D in the Ani long-form birth certificate. In fact, not only was the X pulled over, but the box itself was pulled over, and various parts of the line on top of the X were also pulled over, according to forensic document experts.
Tomorrow, everyone. Off we go then.
A new day, a new perspective.
Well, you can imagine that that's a bit scandalous, and it's interesting the mainstream media did not want to cover that. Again, this was coming from the sheriff's office. They had sent this out to experts to take a look at this. And I also want to remind you that at this time, people were using typewriters. So it's not like when you're just typing the way that we do on a computer, these are typewriters. So for things to line up in that way, yeah, it's a bit suspicious. You can only imagine that the one person who would be able to come out and respond to this properly to say, hey, no, this was not something that was done or recreated or something that was copy and pasted would be Loretta. She's the one that certified it. Loretta from the Hawaiian Health Department. But unfortunately, Loretta died. She wasn't able to do that because she died in a rather mysterious plane crash in December of 2013, just pretty much a year and a half after she had issued that birth certificate. She was on a plane in Hawaii with 8 passengers, but all the other passengers miraculously survived the crash. After an investigation, it was determined that her seat had accidentally been given an infant life vest. On that plane, those 8 seats, only 2 of the passengers had been accidentally given an infant life vest. And of the 2 passengers, her luck was even worse than that. because it turns out that hers was the only vest that had a malfunctioning inflation. So those CO2 inflation candles that are inside, hers had one that was punctured and it was empty. So it was just bad luck, bad luck. The good thing though is that she didn't drown. Apparently, this was a plane crash that I guess you could say was relatively minor. There was no explosion. She was just floating in the ocean as everyone else was, waiting to be rescued. But then she died of an irregular heartbeat, which was triggered by the excitement of the event. Officially, her death was attributed to an irregular heartbeat as she was waiting to be rescued. And her family members spoke out and said she never had anxiety issues, never. She was always very calm. So this seemed unusual to them. These things happen. These things do happen. Anyways, I'm therefore always a bit apprehensive when I can't locate somebody's birth certificate, a politician, and when weird accidents surround it, and family members are also seem to be strange and involved with the CIA, or we can't find their birth certificates. And I'm reminding myself of Barry's extraordinary ascension to the White House. In reminding myself of that, I was brought back to Donald and Kamala Harris and how Judge Joe Brown told us that she did nothing and was just kind of allowed to become the district attorney and had people helping her out the entire time, that she was really serving George Soros. I'm reminded of Yoichi Shimatsu telling us that she was working on behalf of the cartels, that she is somehow involved in the upper echelons of the government. And I suddenly went to myself, maybe I'm just limiting my scope here when I'm looking at Donald Harris. Why am I only looking within Jamaica? Why don't we try to broaden our search to see if we can locate this guy elsewhere, since we know that he traveled so much? And we have come across some documents. I think that there is some evidence that it could be our Donald. Of course, we don't know for sure, but because Dorothy and the Harris family have communicated and confirmed that he traveled extensively in his youth, it's worth looking at these documents. So we were able to locate a Donald Harris on a ship manifest in 1949, traveling from Singapore to the UK. It lists him as a British citizen, and which would be, by the way, accurate. You have to remind yourself that at this time, Jamaica it was the British West Indies. So if you were Jamaican, you would have been, in fact, a British citizen. We have seen this in other Donald Harris documents. And you see, he's 11 years old at this time. If this is our Donald Harris, again, we don't have a confirmation, but again, we do have this 11-year-old traveling in first class all by himself, which is quite strange. There's not another Harris on this manifest, at least traveling in first class. There isn't one. And I just found this to be of interest. But he has listed that he traveled all throughout Asia publicly. He has owned that he's been in Japan, and he's been all around the world. He's been to Singapore. So I just found this to be interesting. This Singapore manifest, again, in 1949, Donald Harris listed traveling to what we know today as the UK. And we found another Donald Harris on a manifest in Hawaii. Hawaii, of course, is interesting only because it became this military base and there was a lot of weird activity happening on that island. This is in 1954. Again, reminding you this could be another Donald Harris, but we flagged it because this Donald Harris is traveling with a Kenneth Harris. And so that, of course, is of interest to us because we know that his brother's name is Kenneth, and he seems to be seemingly as mysterious as his brother Donald. Could there be another Donald and a Kenneth Harris? Is maybe Antoinette Harris their mother? Are they traveling because maybe their father lives at the Air Force Base? Yeah, that is a possibility. Again, we are just trying to explore every angle here, and something that we came across that we thought was of interest. And then we find who we are certain is our Donald Harris. I know that he spent time in Puerto Rico. I know that he spent a lot of time in Brazil. We found our Donald Harris in Puerto Rico in 1959, just 5 years after that Hawaii manifest. And so this would be likely, this is his handwriting, because you have to fill out the things yourself, and then somebody grants you a stamp, and he lists his birth date accurately. We have his birth date recorded as 8/23/1938. It says his birthplace is Kingston, Jamaica. That's the first time I've seen that. I was informed from his family member that he was actually born in St. Elizabeth Parish. and I don't believe that that is in Kingston, so that is of interest there. You can see again listing the nationality as British. That is accurate. So that's not something that some people are like, oh, why does it say he's British? Because if you were born in Jamaica, you were indeed British at the time that he would have been born in 1938. But this is definitively our Donald Harris. We are beginning to just broaden our search into him. Anyways, I wanted to present that to the public because we have been getting so much feedback from you guys, and it's been very helpful. It has been helping us to dilute what is and is not this Harris family. But when we start to hear these words, we start to hear, Standard Oil, as Judge Joe Brown brought up, and as we in our research determined that she had cousins that were working for Standard Oil in a big capacity that were involved in Cuba. We've also come across, as I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, some more documents pertaining to somebody who was a cousin to this family and was involved in Montreal, went to Howard University. We'll speak about that later this week. Everything could be a clue or could not be a clue, but what I can tell you is that everything about her life makes no sense. I very much believe, after learning that her mother was involved in the MK Ultra program, that she would have been a recipient of the MK Ultra programming. We know that her mother was strict. We also have learned that her mother worked in that hospital in Montreal that had patients who were being MK Ultra that ranged from children to women. I don't see how an adult goes to work and is playing psychological games with children and women all day and then comes home and is able to just compartmentalize that and not do it to their own children. This is very scary stuff that we're talking about. We should take this very seriously. And like I said, it is leading me to believe that, of course, it's possible that leaders are being selected when we routinely see this pattern from Emmanuel Macron to Barack Obama to Kamala Harris and to Joe Biden. We have to start asking meaningful questions. And of course, I'm never afraid to be the first one to do it. All right, guys, I want to take a brief second to remind you about Hallow and their prayer challenge for this election. Hallow is the #1 Christian prayer and meditation app in the world, offering thousands of guided prayers to help you get closer to God. Now they have a new prayer series called One Nation Under God. Every day you'll reflect on what it means to be a Christian and a citizen of the United States. Then you'll be guided in praying for peace, our country, our leaders, and our neighbors. Actor Neil McDonald will be your main guide throughout the week. He'll be joined by different guests, including Monse, Alvarado, and Katie McGrady, who both work at the intersection of news and faith. It is so important to remember that we are all God's children during this time, and that's what Hallow wants to help us do with this challenge. Whatever happens in this election, however crazy things get, we can all keep our peace and grow closer to God with the help of Hallow. So download Hallow for free for 3 months at hallow.com/Candace. The great part about that 3-month free trial is it will include Hallow's upcoming Advent Prayer Challenge, which will make the lead up to Christmas absolutely incredible. That's hallow.com/Candace for 3 months free. All right, guys, now let's get into some stories. By the way, I do want to update because we were looking into the Oscar Harris in Canada, and it turns out that that is not our Oscar Harris. We had somebody email us who was able to locate the obituary in Canada. So we were looking at that family. They could be related to our family, but it certainly is not our Oscar Harris without question. Also, somebody had some great eyes, and they caught this mistake that I made last week. When we had showed that Canadian manifest, the census rather, we were saying that this was the daughter and the son and they got married. Well, actually, let's take a look at that manifest again. Somebody made me realize that this is actually just poor handwriting. If you look where Dorothy is, we thought that Dorothy and Abraham got married. Well, they did get married and they were buried together, but this was not an incestuous relationship because you can see it says "in-law" next to Dorothy. It's just really bad handwriting. So if you look at it quickly, it looks like daughter. But if you look at it closely, it actually says "in-law." So unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, this was a dead end. And that's not a problem. I mean, obviously the mom and the dad here are incestuous. They're first cousins, but not hyper unusual at that time. But they at least were not brother and sister, which would have been hyper unusual. I wanted to correct that because we're in the business of wanting to get to truths, but sometimes we make mistakes, and this was a mistake that we made. Speaking of mistakes made, Cardi B. She's our lead story today because she is the gift that keeps on giving. So obviously we know that they are very concerned about the Black vote. It seems like in the last week, every Black person has gotten the call. They have to make a statement about how people should be voting. And they always roll out Cardi B. Remember, rather notoriously, Joe Biden, when he was running, he was using COVID as an excuse to not give any interviews at all. Obviously, it was because he was in mental decline, even when he was running. But he did make time to sit down with Cardi B. And it was very embarrassing that he would do this I don't say that as an insult to Cardi B. I think her heart is in the right place, but her mind is just not always filled with the facts when she speaks. And so that he made time with her was just the ultimate candor. Well, now she's making time for Kamala, and she obviously had what she was supposed to say written for her. And it was put onto a teleprompter, and then that teleprompter malfunctioned, and she therefore malfunctioned. Take a listen.
What's up, Milwaukee? How you guys doing? I'm nervous. I'm excited. What's up, y'all?
Teleprompter.
1 second, guys. 1 second.
This is so embarrassing. They just hand her a phone.
Thank you.
So
right.
embarrassing.
Just like Kamala Harris, I too have been the underdog. I've been underestimated. My success belittled and discredited. Let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. Women have to work 10 times harder, perform 10 times better, and still people question us how we got to the top. Baby, let me kick out there. Hold on. Let me warm up. Yeah. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. I wasn't gonna vote this year. I wasn't. But Kamala, but Harris joined the race. She changed my mind completely.
Mustn't allow ourselves to become
I wasn't gonna vote this year. I wasn't. But Kamala, but Harris joining the race, she changed my mind completely. I did not have faith on any candidate until she joined the race and said the things that I wanted to hear, that I want to see next in this country. All right?
So a couple things I want to say there. It's very interesting that she says that Kamala represented this turning point because, as I just said, she was the one that stumped for Joe Biden. He went to her. They had that notorious interview. So what would have made her change her mind? Why wouldn't she vote for Joe Biden twice? He was the candidate. Makes entirely no sense unless she's just a person who is being told that she has to get out there and support Democrats. Like she doesn't actually have any thoughts of her own. And we can stop speculating about whether she has thoughts of her own because there's absolutely no reason that you would have this mass freak out if your teleprompter went off. You would just say, okay, I just gotta like speak from the heart. Like maybe you wrote down some ideas to guide you along, but you wouldn't go, oh, and then wait for someone to hand you a phone. You would just be like, hey, guys, get out there. Vote for Kamala Harris because of this, because of that. Here are my feelings about the economy. This is so embarrassing. And this is an indication, again, like I said, that none of these people are doing this because it's their own free will. And I truly believe that this is just something that they are all being told that they have to do by people that are managing them. And she's no different here. Honestly, next time, please just, wedding crashers, speak from the heart. Just speak from the heart, Cardi B. And that's all I'm going to say about the topic of her because every time people get upset with me when I say, I respect that she hustled her way through life and made it to the top, but I don't respect the fact that she hasn't switched up. Like, she should be making an effort. If you are going to elect yourself a person that's going to get on stage and tell people how to vote, then you have to make some sort of an effort to properly educate yourself about the issues. Otherwise, what you are doing is just being a clown. You really are. You're just performing for people and expecting that because you have tons of followers and supporters, they're going to do exactly what you do, what the Game of Simon says, and not like our entire country is on the line and that we're fighting a dyed illegal communist, which Kamala is. I should add here also that J-Lo has come out in support of Kamala Harris, and she is crying for some reason. She was actually brought to tears. So let's just show you a clip of J-Lo crying. She really needs Kamala to win because, you know, women. Here she is.
I promised myself I wouldn't get emotional. But you know what? You know what? We should be emotional. We should be upset. We should be scared and outraged. We should. Our pain matters. We matter. You matter. Your voice and your vote matters. And look, don't be afraid to make people around you uncomfortable. Invite people around you to be the change, to go out there and vote. Nobody likes having tough conversations and talking about politics, but trust me, I've been in some of these rooms. I see the way power works in this country. They love it when you do nothing. Okay? A non-vote is an agreement. It just makes it easier for them to do whatever they want, whatever serves them. And this election is about your life. It's about you and me and my kids and your kids. Don't make it easy. Make them pay attention to you. That's your power. That's your power. Your vote is your power.
And this is interesting, of course, because J-Lo rather notoriously dated Diddy, and she just doesn't have that same energy. It's just amazing. LeBron didn't have the same energy for women. He had it for like Breonna Taylor, but didn't care about Cassie getting beat down by Diddy, and he's been mum on that. Same thing for J-Lo. She's not speaking out. That's because, if you believe Kanye, and I do, it's because J-Lo allegedly was the person that was holding the gun for Diddy when he shot up in the club. Back when they were dating, there was this notorious shootout that happened in a club and led to their eventual breakup, and both of them were kept out of trouble. And Kanye says it's because he did a deal with the feds, and part of that deal was that Diddy had to control a lot of the rappers that were in the orbit. Okay, what was the deal for J-Lo? J-Lo got in trouble too that night. What was the deal for J-Lo? Was the deal that J-Lo too, when she gets the call, has to do these fake tears because you're going to say that you care about women and do all of this? I'm just saying you have the opportunity to speak out on Diddy, who you attended a lot of parties with. You were his girlfriend. You were his, you know, the candy on his arm. You loved this man. Everyone thought you were going to get married, and suddenly you're just completely mum. I cannot take these people seriously. It is tremendously hypocritical. Nothing about J-Lo's career has made any sense either. What was the deal? You know, I'm not saying that she's not a good entertainer, but I am saying that she ain't the greatest singer, and she's got a lot of money, you know, the hard work or deals with the feds, like Ye said. I don't know. I'm just pointing to that. All right, guys, I want to remind you about Goldco because gold has been used as a store of value for thousands of years. It's known as a safe haven asset in times of uncertainty, and it has been breaking record after record this year. Many economists are predicting its price could skyrocket even higher. Right now, thousands of Americans are looking to precious metals like gold and silver to diversify their savings. Even central banks around the world are stocking up on gold. It's a time that you learn more about what precious metals can do for you. I think it is. Right now, the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco, is offering a free gold and silver kit to arm you with the facts about how gold could potentially help safeguard your retirement. So visit CandaceLikesGold.com to get your copy of the 2025 gold and silver kit free of charge. Plus, you could receive up to a 10% instant match on bonus over for qualified accounts. That's CandaceLikesGold.com, or you can call 855-222-GOLD today. All right, guys, the internet is very upset. I have not seen them this upset since Harambe got shot. And it really wasn't Harambe's fault that he got shot. Like, people just are not responsible at zoos. So he's sad. If he's at a zoo, he gets shot. The world just falls apart over Harambe. And we are now dealing with a circumstance that is very similar regarding Peanuts the squirrel, okay? So there's this guy, look at Peanut here. Here he is in a cowboy hat, so sweet, so cute. I'm actually not a squirrel stan. I'm going to own that right now, so I don't want to be fake. I don't love them. They were a little crazy. On my college campuses, I was convinced that they were being poisoned somewhere nearby to chase us on college campuses. But whatever, Peanut is not that kind. He's not a college campus squirrel. Peanut actually was adopted, you could say, not legally, but he was taken in from this guy named Mark Longo, who rescued him because I don't think his mother got hit by a car or his dad got hit by a car. And he finds this little baby squirrel and he decides to raise it in his home in upstate New York. And what ended up happening was the New York State wildlife officials seized Peanut the squirrel. I'm just going to show you some clips of Peanut the squirrel so you can see how cute this squirrel was and how adorable their relationship was. Here he is, he's home. Peanut instantly jumps into his hand. People say a man's best friend is a dog, but obviously Mark has proved otherwise because his best friend is a squirrel. And the squirrel really loves him. You know, people love their pets, no matter what kind of a pet it is. Well, somehow the story people are saying is that neighbors got wind of this and they kept reporting Peanut the squirrel. Apparently, he has other animals as well. He also has a raccoon. I am randomly into raccoons. They're very funny and very cute, and they have little hands. And I think it's been a bad PR job telling people that all raccoons have rabies. But this is what they were alleging about this squirrel because when the wildlife officials showed up, one of the officials claimed that they were bit by the squirrel and that they found out that the squirrel had rabies. Now, you don't really typically hear squirrel rabies stories. They're saying that, no, absolutely, they lied. And so what they did was they killed Peanut the squirrel. They euthanized him. So we don't know what came first. Like they euthanized him, media, social media freaked out, and then they said, no, it was because he bit someone. We determined that he had rabies, or if this is their excuse. But the point is that the internet is upset that Peanut the squirrel is dead, that his life was ended shortly because the New York State Department of the Environmental Conservation decided to seize him. Now, I should tell you an update to the story. I don't know what separate fact from fiction, but I should just tell you the New York Post is reporting that they were there because the couple were active on OnlyFans and they were creating pornography, and that's why the State Department was there. And then somehow they called, I guess, the environmental people because they recognized that they had these pets. I don't know what's true. There's still more coming out about the story, but I'm not clear on why, if the adults in this house were on OnlyFans, like half of America is, sadly, why that would require them to kill a squirrel. So anyways, wanted to cover the story because everyone is just saying justice for Peanut the squirrel. I don't know what justice for Peanut the squirrel looks like, but I would just like to add my voice that, you know, Peanut the squirrel should absolutely get justice, but I want to be clear that I'm still not entirely a fan of squirrels. I personally think that they're rats with bushy tails, and but that one's cute. I'll admit, Peanut the squirrel was very cute, and he didn't deserve to die that way, and the states need to just mind their business and let people own pets when they have a lot of property and they're out in the middle of nowhere, like in upstate New York, like Mark Longo was. So that is the name of the game. All right, guys, we are going to get into some of your comments regarding LeBron episode, which went pretty viral because of his absurd propaganda. Just the absurd propaganda. Remember, he just interspliced clips of Trump, and he decided to put the background drop of just things that have happened to Black Americans in the past throughout the civil rights movement that had nothing to do with Donald Trump, to make people believe that Trump was plausibly speaking about Black Americans. It was a very weak job in terms of propaganda, insulting even the dumbest minority of our country, as the comments revealed. Before I read your comments on that, I'm going to tell you about American financing, because the economy has been a major burden on the average American. Wages are flat, expenses are up, and it is very hard to manage to pay all the bills without using credit cards. So if you're a homeowner and you're frustrated with that cycle, I need you to make a 10-minute, no obligation phone call today to my friends in American Financing. Interest rates are coming down. They're now in the low fives. So if you're constantly carrying a credit card balance each and every month, the rate in the 20s, American Financing can show you how to put your hard-earned equity to work and get you out of debt. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are saving their customers an average of $800 a month. And if you get started today, you may not even have to make next month's mortgage payment. So call today at 800-795-1210. Again, the number is 800-795-1210, or you can visit AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. Again, that's AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. All right, comments regarding LeBron James. Tony writes, LeBron endorsed Harris because he's going to need a pardon. Well said. That might be true. Who knows? Maybe that's why they're all doing it. J-Lo, everyone's coming on. They're like, please just don't drop the Diddy tapes, because we know, according to the lawsuits that have been coming out, that they are floating the Diddy tapes, and there's a lot of entertainers and politicians that are on them. Awake But Not Woke writes, if LeBron keeps reading that book, he'll find out that Malcolm X said there's no one more dangerous than the American liberal. That is a fact. He did say that. But LeBron James doesn't get past, the first page of the book, so he's never going to find that out, that Malcolm X was not a fan of the Democrats that he keeps supporting. That Malcolm X notoriously said that they will friend you to control you, and that seems to be the case. Alyssa writes, Trump should sue LeBron James for defamation and slander. It's unbelievable. Actually, that would be a strong case. That video, it's very difficult to sue when you are a celebrity because there's this impossible standard that was established by New York Times versus Sullivan, a case that should be reversed because it's unbelievable. You essentially are allowed to lie about celebrities and public figures in America because they established this ridiculous standard that you have to prove that someone demonstrated actual malice and didn't just make a mistake, and it's an impossible standard to reach. That would be a good case. That would be a good case because how could you not say it's actual malice when you are intentionally choosing words and speaking to other people to make it seem like he's speaking about black people? And who wouldn't love to see a case of Donald Trump versus LeBron James? And I am so here for that. That's a great clue. That's a great idea. Okay, a comment over the young child, or teenager rather, early teenager, 14-year-old kid who committed suicide over AI. And I gave my perspective that we do have to stop as parents saying, oh, well, somebody else should be watching my child. We know what it means to hand your child a cell phone and what they have access to, and parental controls exist for a reason. HZL writes, my mom never allowed me a phone until I was 18. I'm doing the same for my kids, period. I very much agree with you. If I gave my kid a phone, there would be essentially nothing on it, and they would know that I had full access to it all the time, and that I read all of their messages when and if I wanted to. And I'm always going to be in control of whether or not they are able to download certain apps until they're out of my house. That's just how it should work. It is a very dangerous thing to give to your child. Miscellaneous comments that we have. This person writes, today, for the first time in my life, I registered and voted. I am a 68-year-old Hispanic male veteran from the deep blue state of New Mexico. My beautiful wife also voted. We both let our voices be heard. Trump bans 24. Let's hope that is what happens. I am never hopeful because Democrats always have tricks up their sleeve. And there's a guy who literally flew from Ireland. I'm not showing it because I don't want the feds to come down on him, but I did see the clip of this guy who flew over from Ireland and voted in 5 states because they know if the states don't check for ID, he's able to do it. So that doesn't make me feel great about it. He voted for, I think, Trump, but just the fact that he's doing this to demonstrate how rigged our elections are doesn't make me feel good. Rachel Gibson writes, I'm a white lesbian from a country town in North Carolina, and I love you, Candace. Thank you for always keeping it real and staying true to yourself. Thank you so much for the support. I'm loving what I'm doing. And lastly, April writes, the main difference between 2016 and 2024 is that there were no mail-in ballots. Please, everyone who wants America back, vote Trump and Vance. Yes, they fundamentally changed the way that we voted. And for those of us who had a spine and said that since 2020, we know they used COVID as an excuse to essentially radically transform how we vote and to say, oh, we had to do it because of the virus. It's like, you got to do this because you're communists and you want to rig elections. So how about that? How about that? Ladies and gentlemen, we will see what happens. Reminding you that tomorrow our show is going to be off air because I will be in Florida with the PBD team. Very excited about that. So definitely head over to their channel tomorrow if you want to watch me. I'll be with Dave Smith. There's going to be tons of other people there, and they're going all night. They are literally going from like 7 p.m. until 2 a.m. in the morning with election coverage. That is where you're going to want to be at because the lineup is incredible. Very funny people with all different ideas just across the political spectrum. So hopefully I will see you over on PBD's channel. If you're watching this, you see how close we are to 3 million subscribers on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this on Rumble, please hit the subscribe button as we grow our audience. And of course, if you want to support the show, you can head to locals.com. Keep our independence so that we don't have to rely upon the YouTube gods for money since we got very quickly demonetized for telling the truth, as usual. We will see you guys on Wednesday with post-election coverage.
Hello, how you guys doing? Welcome to the Messy Sweet Spot. I'm your host, Gigi, and today we have another doozy. Diddy's lawyer has been noted that he is quitting. He is quitting. He don't want anything to do with Diddy. Now this is going to make the second lawyer that stood behind Diddy that quits. Well, they're saying, if you guys remember yesterday, Courtney, he was the guy that was associated with Kim Porter. He has Kim Porter tapes and he has Porter diary. Yesterday, he went to the courts, and when he showed the proof of the hard drive with the tapes of Diddy doing so many wicked things with Kim Porter, and also the diary of Kim Porter, they're telling me that his lawyer was sick to his stomach and just quit. He said he just could not do it. So I'm sure you guys will hear more about this news later on next week, possibly after election, who knows. But this video has a lot of insight and it's breaking it all down. So I want us to listen and to react to it all. And I just want to say thank you all for the support. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe here at the Message Sweet Spot. And let's hear what they have to say.
So we made a bail appeal to Judge Carter. It did not go our way.
New witness before the grand jury in the Sean Diddy Combs case. Courtney Burgess, former associate of Kim Porter, that's Diddy's ex-girlfriend, mother to 4 of his children.
What you received on the flash drive, was it the completed book or was it notes from Kim Porter that later were made into a book?
It was completed.
It says, Kim made me promise that if something happened to her, I would make sure this book became public to the world. The way Sean moved, I knew that was a promise I would have to fulfill.
Do you believe Diddy has something to do with Kim Porter's death?
Absolutely. Without hesitation.
In an unexpected twist, one of Diddy's top defense attorneys, Mark Agnafilo, was recently spotted exiting a courtroom amid his client's very troubling legal situation, a move that has seemingly come in the wake of new accusations brought against Diddy from an old associate of his former partner, Kim Porter.
Have the Feds been in contact with you? I did watch your YouTube interview. I saw as of 2 weeks ago they haven't been in contact with you. What about today?
Yes.
So they have been in contact with you. Is that why you're here today?
Yes.
Have the authorities found new evidence in the Kim Porter case? Will this be the Trojan horse for the prosecution against Diddy? The tales of Diddy's involvement in the mysterious circumstances surrounding Kim Porter's passing have been sung by many for over a decade, with several people directly accusing the rapper of being involved. However, the new revelation from the case spans beyond that. Do you know if the notes from the book really were from Kim Porter?
It was, yes, because I spoke to her.
Not only does this new witness, Courtney Burgess, claim to have seen the tapes containing everything Diddy's case is built on, but the man also claims to have those tapes. It gets worse for Diddy, as those tapes are alleged to contain evidence against him and some other celebrities having relations with younger people. Was it the completed book, or was it notes from Kim Porter that later were made into a book?
It was completed. There's only there's only about 54 pages.
Could it possibly be worse for him? It seems the new pieces of evidence brought forward by the witness might have been the tipping point for his attorneys, which has seemingly led to many of these people jumping ship from what appears to be Diddy's sinking case.
And this is what I'm getting at. When you have a lot of money and you have no accountability, and you want to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, I think you can go a little bonkers.
Remember, Diddy is accused of a slew of crimes, which are not limited to forcing several individuals to do his bidding while having them under the influence. And although this new accusation also falls under those indictment claims, it's slightly more complex for him. Burgess's claims don't end with him having video evidence against the mogul. The man also claims to have access to Kim Porter's original notes that made up her book. Those notes allegedly contain details of Diddy's not-so-subtle raging days, and the clause for their release, according to Burgess's source, was if something had ever happened to her. Is that to say she didn't trust Diddy not to harm her?
And that was somehow construed or
understood or turned into a raid, but he did not face a raid. It was just to serve him a subpoena.
It may not have come out officially, but it looks like the news from Porter's associate has stirred up quite a number of problems for Diddy and his team, making that yet another addition to the barrage of cases that had already been filed against him. Where do they go from here? Well, according to fan speculation, it would appear jail is where they think he'll be for a long time. And it's not just the videos, the attacks, or the ST, but because a lot of people seem to think he had a hand in Kim's untimely passing. They might be right to think so, because Burgess's story is only where this rabbit hole begins.
Vicious, he was then from that Vicious went to
No matter what type of severe asthma you have, Tespire can help you have fewer attacks and relieve your asthma symptoms. Tespire is an add-on treatment for people 12 and over. It is not a rescue medication. Don't take Tespire if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions may occur and can be serious. Rash or eye allergy can happen. Don't stop your asthma treatments unless your doctor tells you to. Tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection or your asthma worsens. Sore throat, joint, and back pain may occur. Avoid live vaccines. No matter who you are, ask your asthma specialist about Tespire today.
Introducing a redesigned Dick's experience for a sports destination unlike any other, with an expanded assortment of the latest styles and the best gear that takes your game to the next level and beyond. With new interactive experiences,
doing anything, then from doing it.
And I just want to stop there. This is what I'm hearing. Courtney, as you guys all are familiar with, he has come out, he has the real important diary. And in that diary, it is describing so many things that are so evil and wicked. And not only that, he has the thumb drive of Diddy in action. And they're telling me when the lawyer saw that, his heart failed. So he is definitely the worst of quitting. I don't know if he already quit yet. This is what I'm hearing, that he has already quit. And he plans on making that announcement after the election. I'm not sure. This is what I'm hearing. So this video is telling it all. Alright, so I'm gonna know what you guys think. Do you guys think that the lawyer is actually going to quit on Diddy? Or do you think that he's going to continue to work with trying to milk Diddy for the money? And then eventually he will quit because he has to realize this is a losing battle. You know, it's a losing battle.
Thing to didn't care about nobody who he could beat, and then he ended up turning to Lucifer.
As if it wasn't bad enough that everyone already saw him as a monster from the hundreds of allegations that have painted him as the common man's worst nightmare, more details in other aspects of his life keep coming out to validate those points. In fact, word on the street is that it's getting so bad that people are now jumping ship from the Moguls case, as reports have it that one of his lead attorneys might have been so scared by new accusations that he dipped. Said case has already cast a shadow on Diddy's credibility over the past couple of years, over allegations by netizens of his influence in Kim Porter's passing. But this is a little different. We all know that when it comes to celebrity scandals, things can get dicey in no time, and that could never apply more than in Diddy's case.
It's not all the time they say this, but they say this is going our way. Not the bail. They say we have it. We got a lot of people who are going to talk and say that this is what Diddy was about, and some people may pass it off as hip hop culture.
Courtney Burgess, a key witness in the rap mogul's ongoing investigation, spilled the beans on News Nation's Banfield. He revealed that he was handed 11 flash drives containing 8 S-tapes featuring several high-profile names. That Burgess testified before the grand jury in New York.
Right. Everybody's been saying it. And Courtney, he actually had the footage in the thumb drive. Do you understand?
I was a genius. I've always been kind of an Apple nerd. I just wanted to help people and fix things.
Something doesn't make sense. In that bubble, you don't realize what else is out there.
Samsung is way farther ahead with their tech. I'm getting 200 megapixel options, which is crazy. So how can I be a genius? I voluntarily left the Apple ecosphere.
He actually had the footage in the thumb drive. Do you understand? This is what I'm hearing. I'm not sure. They are stating that Oprah is involved. They are stating Steve Harvey. They are stating Kevin Hart. Okay? These are some big figures. They are stating Jay-Z, Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, Kim Porter, was also on the list and the things that they were doing was totally shit. And they didn't even know who was recruiting. They had no clue. No clue.
Revealing the startling detail that a few of the celebrities featured in these tapes were minors. He alleged that the flash drives were handed to him by Kim Porter, Diddy's late partner. This suggests she may have intended to bring to light some troubling behavior prior to her untimely death.
In the beginning, it says, Kim made me promise that if something happened to her, I would make sure this book became public to the world. The way Sean moved, I knew that was a promise I would have to fulfill.
With every new revelation, the narrative becomes more tangled, leaving many to wonder how it will impact those involved and the entertainment industry at large. Well, this news about Burgess has particularly had several people talking on the internet. One person wrote, Mr. Courtney is telling the truth. He is not doing it for the money. He is hurting because of Kim. Diddy hurt Kim and unalived her. So much hurt, another person wrote. Horrific that he did the M so he could have his way with them and recorded it so he could revisit the incident and get all excited again. It seems that Kim Porter, Sean Diddy Combs' late partner, may have been holding some troubling secrets close to her. Burgess. Porter allegedly provided him with flash drives containing explicit material involving several celebrities, including younger people.
Who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs. How many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence?
All of them.
This disclosure opens a can of worms that could change the landscape of Diddy's already tumultuous legal battles.
His legal troubles first escalated dramatically in 2023 when Cassie Ventura, his ex-partner, accused him of SANA in a lawsuit that was settled after being filed. A surveillance video that became public around the time of the case, depicting an altercation between them, further intensified public scrutiny, with Ventura describing it as reflective of her experiences. This was yet another problem for Diddy that further escalated till other things from his past started to come up, one of which was Kim Porter's case, an unsurprising turn of events from her family being vocal about their questions in the past couple of years. Particularly, Porter's father, Jake Porter, has expressed his disgust over Diddy's behavior, raising questions about the nature of his daughter's relationship with the rapper. The former stated Rolling Stone, Puffy's love, I don't know what he calls love, you know what I mean? I really don't think he has any idea what love is. Per the reports, Burgess took the stand before a grand jury in New York, revealing that he received 11 flash drives containing at least 8 ST featuring various celebrities. Among those on the tapes, he claimed, were 2 to 3 young people. He also mentioned that he received the drives from Porter during his time in Atlanta, suggesting that she may have intended to expose Diddy's troubling actions before her death.
Because I spoke to her probably like 6 hours before I got it, received it.
You spoke to Kim Porter?
Yes.
So Kim.
Moreover, Burgess noted that he was also given a manuscript for Porter's alleged memoir titled Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side, which detailed accounts of physical and SA at Diddy's hands.
What you received on the flash drives, was it the completed book or was it notes from Kim Porter that later were made into a book?
It was completed.
According to the news, Ariel Mitchell, Courtney Burgess's attorney, stated that the tapes tell the story of what Diddy has done over the past 30 years, implying that if these tapes exist, they could unveil a dark history of Sean Combs' alleged misconduct. However, not everyone is buying into these claims. Attorney Mark Garagos, who represents the 54-year-old music mogul, expressed skepticism about Burgess's credibility, suggesting that prosecutors might not find his testimony credible, but that didn't get more traction. Relationships in the spotlight often resemble a double-edged sword, and the on-again, off-again romance between Kim Porter and Combs is no exception. But their split in 2007 was a pivotal moment, triggered by the revelation that Diddy had fathered a child with another woman while Porter was pregnant with twins. This betrayal added fuel to the fire of their already complicated relationship, but the fuse to that explosion only came after her passing.
Take control of your health by boosting your force field, the immune system. Aura tells you when your temperature.
After her passing. The untimely passing of Kim Porter brought up a lot of questions again. This happened after her longtime partner Diddy was named in a big lawsuit accusing him of A. The class action suit was filed by singer Cassie on November 16th in a federal district court in Manhattan. Cassie allegedly suffered from serious beatings, was forced to take lots of drugs and alcohol, and was involved in strange activities during their relationship. She dated the mogul on and off from 2006 to 2019. She wanted a trial by jury and $30 million in damages. Besides the story of someone who dated her ex after she passed, Kim Porter's death gained renewed attention when A.L.B. Shure, her ex, voiced his concerns about Cassie's lawsuit and called for the reopening of Kim Porter's case. On November 15, 2018, Kim was found unresponsive in her home in the San Fernando Valley area of the city. Emergency services were called, but they pronounced her unalive at the scene. Kim passed away at the age of 47, leaving behind her 4 kids and shocking the world.
Breaking news tonight, Sean Diddy Combs has been arrested in a Manhattan hotel this evening after a grand jury indicted the music mogul. His attorney tells CNN that he is currently being processed.
Some found it hard to believe that someone as young and healthy as Kim could pass from pneumonia. According to Diddy, Kim had been battling the flu for a few days before the incident. Despite having recently traveled to Africa, she didn't have any health complaints upon her return. According to the medical examiner's report, there was no history of drug A or alcoholism, and no signs of trauma were found. A few days before the incident, it was reported Kim had asked Diddy to take care of her kids. Little did he know those would be her last words to him. Or did he? Initially, Kim's passing was mysterious, but an autopsy later revealed she died from pneumonia. However, some people still doubted this explanation, leading to the ongoing controversy surrounding her death. And at the center of it all, Diddy. That's not all there was to Kim's story. Some insiders have spent years. In a recent interview with Street Stars, Jaguar Wright disclosed long-standing issues involving Diddy, which went largely unnoticed until Kim tragically passed away. Jaguar Wright seems to believe Diddy exploited Kim for his own gains, like everyone has said of him, until Kim made the decision to write her tell-all book. Jaguar said, "Kim, remember, he was waiting. The casket was ready. She was literally casket ready." Despite no evidence of complications like drugs found in Kim, Jaguar seemingly believes that Diddy had acted cleverly to protect himself. She suggested that he might have used pills that mimic symptoms of a heart attack and pneumonia to harm her. In her vast experience in the industry, this seems to be something Jaguar has seen up close.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said it was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body through the kids and poison. You know, they have poisons that create heart attacks and pneumonia-like symptoms.
Jaguar Wright went further to spill her concerns about Diddy's actions in Hollywood over the years, noting his consistency in evading consequences. She highlighted the shock many felt when Cassie filed a lawsuit against him, only for it to be settled within 24 hours, a remarkably quick resolution. However, this swift move didn't shield him from further damage to his reputation. Another individual, Lil Rod, famously filed a lawsuit against him, along with several other women, with the total count of allegations running into thousands. This history of damage to several people is what made Jaguar say he thinks he is God. While Jaguar Wright's words already make it painfully obvious that there was something unusual about Kim's passing and how Diddy may or may not have played a role in that, another insider, one closer to them, gave an account of him allegedly being abusive towards her.
People in her camp that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht. So Cassie's story is Kim's story.
Although that story had already floated around for some time in the industry, things took a turn sideways when Deal revealed that Diddy had a bandaged hand at one point because Kim had fought him back after he attacked her. But the kicker is that the photo wasn't even from Deal.
Corkscrew. She took the corkscrew and caught him on his wrist defending himself, and he almost, I know he tore some ligament, but he almost hit an artery or came close to the artery.
The man revealed that Kim threw a wine opener at Diddy, and the resulting injury was so bad, it might have been inches from an artery in Diddy's hand. Deal believes this may have been something only a woman scared for her life would have done for protection. In truth, ever since Gene Deal started speaking about Diddy, there have been several stories about how he might be speaking out of bitterness. But Deal's credibility took a major boost after someone else confirmed that Kim suffered at the hands of the bad boy executive.
He told me that, he did the same thing to Kim Porter. Or you could take it before then and then.
Mark Curry, the hit writer behind several of Diddy's songs and one of the voices behind the Bad Boy banner, also confirmed that his former boss wasn't the best of lovers. Unlike Deal, he was around when Cassie was in the picture, and according to him, it didn't even start with Cassie. He said the attack started with his baby mama, Misa. In Kim's case, Curry didn't stop at confirming the mogul was capable of hitting her, but he also told a tale about their relationship that made it clear he was almost certainly violent toward her.
And that was her childhood boyfriend, like coming up. They was, lovey-dovey couple. And it was back then. He used to, do that with Meeks.
The former rapper revealed that Diddy had been controlling Kim's life to the point that he seemingly tapped her phone, among other bizarre things, to keep her under his wings at all costs. What's that thing they say about karma? It comes when you least expect it.
I tell you, I need you all to comment. I want to know what are your thoughts about it. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe here at the Missing Sweet Spot. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.
He's not just a horse, he's a dragon horse. Frankie's dragon horse, and the best imaginary friend a kid could ask for. If only everyone could see him like Frankie does. If only he could fly up that paper and out into Cricket. Make moments into memories.
Father built this bridge. What? Yeah, my father was the head foreman on this bridge here. Come on, you're all over this town. Well, exactly. I mean, Castle Street was where we all lived.
Yes, sir. My trigger. Back up in this thing, man. Today, I'll be reacting to some creepy videos from the darkest corners of TikTok. Let's get it.
You're working, okay? Working. I look down at the record, you know, I expect to pick up trash, whatever. I look down. Look. Look at this.
Oh.
Why is the wire coming out? Oh. Come out of the bird. This is a little bird, dude. It's like a little bird. Like, it is. What is up? That, like, what the spiders? Look, there's spiders coming out of its neck, and then that. Like it's decomposing, but the head is off. Oh, I'm struggling. What? Oh, they say.
Either this bird somehow swallowed an entire motherboard, or DARPA lost one of their spy pigeons and forgot to clean it up.
What I'm about to show you is insane. This is a video from the Grand Norm show when Liam Payne had an interview and he started talking about P. Diddy and Jay-Z. Now, specifically in this video, there is something going on that's suspicious with the hosts of the show, especially when he mentions Jay-Z. Watch their hands. Their hand movements are to the second exactly the same. There's almost a tap on the leg to Grand Norton, and then their hands are put together, put on their laps. It's just strange. Watch this.
That guy was looking at me in his eyes like, when is this going to end? The worst of it happened. The worst of it happened, there was a whole thing with Jay-Z and I went to lean in to speak to him. But you can't lean in to speak to Jay-Z, you're not allowed to lean in. And his bodyguard just like shoved me like this and I went fine in. And his bodyguard just like shoved me like this and I went fine.
As soon as he mentioned Jay-Z, they did that. They looked away, they put their hands together and put it in their lap. That's weird. Am I the only one? Surely not. Can you see it? And what's even weirder is the fact that this video I just showed you resurfaced 12 hours before Liam Payne passed away. Pretty convenient, right?
I feel like the normal way to fold your hands together is like this, not like whatever they just did. But again, like I said before, basement, oatmeal, Jay-Z, me, don't mix.
Kim Kardashian's Halloween costume is currently going viral because she was a reptilian for Halloween. And this wasn't just some Party City costume. This is the most effort I have seen anyone put into a Halloween costume. And just pay attention to the detail. Every part of her body has these scales, which are quite literally the same exact of this crocodile that was also posted. Not only that, take a look at her eyes. And look, I'm not the biggest reptilian conspiracy person, but I mean, this is absolutely wild. She even has a massive tail. My initial reaction to this costume was I was just shocked. Then I saw this clip where she was in the dark and there was this light flashing on her, and then I started getting really freaked out. I actually think the timing of this is interesting because I know she's a brand ambassador for Balenciaga, and not too long ago they just released a reptilian suit that goes for $1,900. So it's definitely a little odd, but let me know what you guys think about this.
Throughout the years, we've already seen Kim Kardashian shapeshift into different people. This one just surprisingly fits her perfectly.
The McDonald's logo, you may think, is simply an M for McDonald's. But is there something ancient and satanic about this logo? There's an ancient German mythological creature called Mephistopheles, and this is a demon, basically. Well, in this alleged ancient black magic book, you see this M logo, and you also see a demon at the bottom. This is the M with increased brightness, so you can see it, possibly referencing an ancient demon known as Mephistopheles. Now, the founder of McDonald's, Ray Kroc, was a Bohemian Grove member and believed to be a 33rd degree Freemason. You look at the Ronald McDonald House Charities logo, if you draw a line from here to there and the roof, you get a Masonic compass.
If this connection is true, then it would make a lot of sense why every time I eat McDonald's afterwards, I get an ungodly stomachache. It's because Ronald McDonald is really Ronald Mephistopheles.
Do not believe that glyphosate in Argentina is causing increases in cancer. You can drink a whole quart of it and it won't hurt you.
Yes, you want to drink some? We have some here.
I'd be happy to, actually. Yeah. Not really, but
not really?
I know it wouldn't hurt you.
If you say so, I have some.
No, I'm not stupid.
Okay, so you
no, but I know
so it's dangerous.
I know people try to commit fail fairly regularly.
Tell the truth.
It's not dangerous to humans. No, it's not.
So are you ready to drink one glass of
No, I'm not an idiot. Interview me about golden rice. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, then it's finished. Then the interview is finished.
That's a good way to solve things.
Yeah. Here, please, sure.
I wonder how much Baron Monsanto paid him to say this. I would have been in complete shock if he actually badlands chugged the quart of glyphosate.
The U.S.
Say this, I would have been in complete shock if he actually badlands chugged the quart of glyphosate.
The U.S. Patent Office instructs their caseworkers to deny or stall alternatives of free energy patents. If this sounds like a conspiracy theory, it's actually not, and here's the proof. The U.S. Patent Office had a secret program that could prevent inventions that were flagged from ever being granted a patent. It was called the Sensitive Application Warning System, referred to as SAWS. Most people don't know about this program that began in 1994 because it was intended to be kept secret. However, the program was revealed to the public through a leaked internal memo that was sent to a U.S. Patent Office manager that instructed them to remind their case examiners of the SAWS program guidelines. This is proof that the government is silencing and suppressing free energy right here in their documents. Think about it. There were only a few categories on this list, and free energy was one of them.
You mean to tell me that this SAWS program is the reason why we still all have to pay an electric bill? We got the best government in the world.
So I've got this box of VHS tapes. And according to what's on some of them, they were recorded circa like 1996 from television. And here I have one. And it has this day in the life of George W. Bush in the White House with Tom Brokaw. And we have the commercial breaks. And what do we have here? What happened here? This is like an old cassette tape found in a garage. Like Pepperidge Farms remembers.
I remember vividly the Fruit of the Looms logo having a cornucopia. I don't know what dimension this VHS tape came from.
What were they after?
Well, first of all, he told me over and over and over. When he first told me, Latoya, they're going to me. I said, who, Michael? First, I thought you're Michael Jackson. Nobody in their right mind would ever think of doing anything like this to you. That's what you think. He says, no, but you don't understand. And then I saw how serious he was. He said, it's bigger than what you think. I said, well, Michael, what is it? He said, it's my publishing. They're after my publishing. They want to take it. As you guys know, my brother had one of the largest catalogs in the world, meaning music-wise.
The Beatles collection.
He owned the Beatles, yes. There's an elevator music like you hear, just everything. Basically,
and you know who it was. Can you say who it was?
No, I cannot say, because there are other people at the house as well. Because I prefer not to at the moment, but I will say this. I would love to have a one-on-one with several people. One person I would love to have. I would love to have a one-on-one with probably. I mean,
There's people like Whoopi Goldberg that actually enable these evil people to keep doing what they do with no repercussions. I feel like she only stopped her from exposing that name so she could save her own job.
Can't tell people the weather is controlled by Gerald from
Top secret CIA Weather Control Division, Dick speaking. There is no escape.
Flooding and even hurricanes could be subject to weather modification.
to block sunlight from reaching the earth.
Lasers? Really? To change the weather?
The chemicals that they're spraying from the air. We've been doing this since the 1940s and 50s. We've been manipulating weather for a very long time.
The theory of karmic retribution states that they have to let us know what they're going to do before they do it to avoid any spiritual consequences. So if it was in The Simpsons, then
we know that the planet Saturn has a hexagram, a perfect hexagram at its north pole. What very few people know is that this hexagram has been known about by ancient people for as long as history has been recorded. People who did not have telescopes or the technology to view anything outside of the Earth's atmosphere besides the stars. That is quite the paradox. That's what's been on my mind lately about this subject. It is, number one, absolutely impossible for these people to have viewed Saturn, especially North Pole. Saturn being associated with the black cube, which has direct connection to the hexagon shape, which is a 2D format of the cube, proves to us without a doubt that these people over the centuries from all over the world understood that there was this anomaly at the peak of Saturn.
I feel like the ancients had a much better understanding of the universe and astrology than we've been led to believe. If you actually take a second to look around, you'll see references to Saturn worship everywhere, especially major corporations.
Okay, this is beyond hilarious. This is Wutong Mountain, and people will go there to climb the mountain to take photo with this giant rock. Well, it turns out it's a fake rock. And yeah, they're under construction for repair because somebody apparently kicked the side of the rock and it fell apart. Tofu drank much. Now, the official excuse, they say that, oh, it was always a fake mountain to begin with. We weren't lying to you. But do you actually believe that tourists would come to this mountain and expect that whole rock in a natural environment to be a fake rock? People were very disappointed. I went on Douyin to try to find more videos of this, if you will see. Yeah, people were actually pretty mad at the fact that even a giant rock can be fake, which is hilarious.
You're going to make a fake rock to use as a tourist destination, and you swing a person so you can't dig through it this easily. It looks like they made this out of paper mache. The person filming this is playing a dangerous game. It looks like this anaconda is on a steady diet of wild boar and capybaras.
So yeah, basically, as you can see, it would be a lovely day actually. It's a very, very lovely day. Just one down there. You might be able to see something out there, possibly. I don't know, maybe it's a bit difficult for you to see, but
don't mind those lines in the sky. This is Harp's daily air show.
The potential positive path is so good that it will force us to rethink how should we use our time. You know, you can almost call it a new religion or a new philosophy of, okay, how do we stay connected with each other, not addicted to these things that will make video games look like nothing in terms of the attractiveness of spending time on them. So it's fascinating that the issues of disease and enough food, climate, if things go well, those will largely become solved problems. And, so the next generation does get to say, okay, given that some things that were massively in shortage are now not, how do we take advantage of that? Do we ban AI being used in certain endeavors so that humans get some, like you don't want robots playing baseball probably, because they'll be too good. So we'll keep them off. The field. Okay, how broadly would you go with that? We are so used to this shortage world that I hope I get to see how we start to rethink these deep meaning questions.
At this point, petition to replace Bill Gates with AI. That's the most useful application for humanity I can think of.
I need help. Okay, so I thought this was dust for like a week. And then if you look really closely, it turns out that they're little tiny bugs. And I'm freaking out because they're literally everywhere in my kitchen. And I'm cleaning everything. I'm wiping everything down with hot water with bleach in it. Hoping it'll do it. I've wiped everything down like every single day for over a week, and they just keep coming back stronger than ever the next day. And I don't know what to do. It's so gross. They're on the alcohol bottles. They're on the counter. Look, you can see the smoke. They're on the supplement bottles. They're on the walls. See all those little moving dots?
When you travel well, your ticket can take you to more than just your destination. It can take you to
little moving dots. They like to gather on the corners. Does anyone know what these are? Please tell me.
I don't know what those bugs are, but I would just throw the whole house away if I was her.
Okay, they told us about these demon face syndrome people were going to start showing up. Remember that? They told us that this is famous YouTuber FusiTube. Check out this weird interaction he had at this bar with this individual over here. This is by any means not a normal interaction at all, y'all. Check this out and let me know what you guys think. From the time he comes sit down, just watch him, y'all. Look at this. He feels the energy. Look at him. Because y'all know how when someone's looking at y'all, very good. Y'all seen his eye? Y'all seen his eye as soon as he stood up? Hold on. So y'all, I caught this as soon as he stood up. Watch his right eye. Watch this. Bro, did you guys see how fast that eye jumped up? Independently too. Look. What? This thing continues to go on and it only gets more weird, y'all. Check this out. He doesn't say a word. She's trying to speak to him in Spanish and he's not even understanding. Y'all look at his neck. Just look at it. Yeah. Just the way that they're talking to him too. Look at the way he stares at the cookie when she offers him it. Oh my goodness.
I don't even think demon face syndrome can explain this one. It looks like he just landed on this planet.
I'm so scared right now. Someone might have my business right. Y'all hear that? Oh! What the is that? Okay, I just realized you guys can see where it's from. It's from Sheen. What the this? What? I'm having anxiety attack for all of it. What is this?
It's good that she found it because from what I can see, the words on it say Chipolo, and I just looked it up, and it is a tracking device, so Sheen has some explaining to do. They might be selling more than just clothes.
Lil Uzi Vertical just announced his new album, Eternal, A Take Two, and this is his cover art. Now, it's a bunch of women with red possessed eyes, and the longer you look, the creepier it gets. Now, he's no stranger to this type of imagery. I mean, remember the cover art for Just Wanna Rock? Same idea. The longer you look, the creepier it got. With this new album, he said he's entering a new era, and he also dropped a trailer. And it starts off by saying, on March 6th of 2020, Uzi mysteriously vanished. While it was never confirmed what happened that day, the faithful believed it had to be the fulfillment of a long-awaited prophecy. Now, the whole theme of this is like an extraterrestrial sci-fi type beat where he's being delivered by a UFO and his body shows up. They extract his memory, then reset it. And it's done by the same exact women that you see on the cover art. They're wearing these hoods with the red possessed eyes. After his memory is finally reset, he wakes up. Now, I don't know what Uzi has up his sleeve, but this had a lot of symbolism, so let me know what you think all of this means.
I'll give it to him. It's a pretty creative album trailer, but these days I question if this wasn't based on true events and a long-awaited prophecy was Lil Uzi Vert being taken to the MK Ultra Training Center.
The following event took place in Salinas, California on October 26, 2024, and it was captured by multiple security cameras at this lot. A man named Eric posted these videos showing an impact to one of their trucks, one of their diesel trucks. Now, they have stated that this is not a firework, but they don't know what it is. On the second video, you can hear the loud boom and the impact. On the final video, you can see what looks like a round object striking the truck. But where it came from, what it is, and who's doing it, all those questions are left unanswered. You can go look at this video and tell me what you think.
Salinas, California. Check this out. Someone in Salinas is shooting projectiles. Explosive. Check this out, fellas. This is not a firework. Whatever hit this, it even blew off the glass on this truck. That's nuts.
From what I can see on the surveillance footage, it kind of looks like a metallic orb hit the truck, so I don't know if it's a piece of the Boeing satellite that just blew up or he got hit with an otherworldly airstrike.
I'm fine with his wife.
Congratulations. Yep. Boeing satellite that just blew up or he got hit with an otherworldly airstrike.
Like, look, is they here? What the heck is going on?
It could just be a drone with lasers attached to it for some type of event, but if you check the morning news and there was wildfires in the area, then you know the culprit.
Has anybody talked to you about Wilk's plan?
What I've heard is it's a portal. Portal takes you from one structure to another or to a vessel outside our atmosphere, like an invisible elevator. This particular portal was underground, inside a structure. It had a frame, had hieroglyphics, whatever the meanings were, we still don't know. But the structure or the frame of this portal acted like a wormhole from point A to point B, a moon pool.
A moon pool.
The description I've been told looks just exactly like a moon pool.
Okay, what is a moon pool?
A moon pool, say it's in a submarine that's very deep. You've got a hatch in the floor that is open to the sea. Water does not come in and flood the vessel. The ambient pressure keeps that water, but you can enter the water and ascend from it through this moon pool.
So, do you mean that using the word moon pool, that you're saying that there's something that's vertical that looks like a moon pool?
Looks like like you're walking into the water, but it's not water.
If what he's saying is legit, then it makes sense why Antarctica is so heavily guarded and closed off to the public.
Oh, hot toys. That's like such a trope.
Today we are talking about the haunted Toys R Us of Sunnyvale, California.
It's already haunted. Toys R Us went bankrupt.
The reports of it being haunted began in like the 1970s. Basically, employees started reporting what you would expect in a haunted Toys R Us, which is the toys are moving by themselves, making noise by themselves. Some news programs picked it up and started digging into it. The catalyst for this becoming like a true certified urban legend happened when they brought in a self-proclaimed psychic named Sylvia Brown.
Oh, she's famous.
So this brought a lot of coverage to the story. She started speaking with the ghosts. They did this whole televised like seance moment. She discovered that the ghost's name is Johnny Johnson, and it turns out this Toys R Us was built on the grounds where an old ranch used to stand.
No.
The ranch hand was in love with the ranch owner's daughter. He died a tragic death, as expected. So now he haunts the Toys R Us that was built on the grounds of this ranch.
If anybody is watching who grew up in Sunnyvale that knows about this Toys R Us, can you please confirm if it was actually haunted? I don't know what I would do if I walked into a Toys R Us and saw a ghost hula hoop.
If you were sick as a kid, you were sometimes lucky enough to get the banana medicine. A medicine so good you wanted to drink it even when you weren't sick. But the flavor of the banana medicine and other artificial banana flavors are based off of a banana that used to be very popular in North America before it almost went extinct. Artificial banana flavoring is based not off the Cavendish banana, which is what you find in the grocery store, but off of this, the Gros Michel, which still exists in limited quantities. People who have eaten it say it's creamier, better for baking, it's firmer, sweeter, just a better banana. So what happened? In countries like Guatemala, big companies like United Fruit Co., later Chiquita, and Dole had huge monocultures where they grew bananas. These monocultures were very bad for the soil, and so United Fruit Company's solution was just to buy more land and leave the old land fallow. The Guatemalan government, understandably, thought that was a stupid idea, and so they passed a law in the 50s that they were going to give that fallow land back to the Guatemalan people. Well, the Kuafu companies went and complained to Uncle Sam that the mean Guatemalans were taking their useless land away. So America did the most logical and reasonable thing that they could think to do. They supported a violent coup of the Guatemalan government. I mean, duh. Just as a side note, the political fallout from the coup resulted in a Guatemalan civil war that lasted 36 years. So, America, not being content with the Guatemalan people, these fruit companies wanted something else, and so they accomplished that with the Gros Michel. Now, these bananas are grown not from seed, but from tree cuttings, so they're literally clones. If one banana becomes susceptible to a disease, they all do, and that's exactly what happened. Panama disease started wiping out the Gros Michel banana in the 20th century. And so, did they change their farming practices? No, of course not. They just found a different variety of banana, and that was the Cavendish. So the next time you have a banana, just remember, not only is it worse than it used to be, but it cost a coup and a civil war to get there.
I'm sure the people of Guatemala are really just in need of democracy and freedom.
Why is society celebrating the destruction?
Well met, Sir Arisen. Might I inquire as to what's become of the regalia sword? So this is how the sword looked in its glory days of yore. 'Tis splendid to behold. I thought the blade ought to be restored for its history, but seeing it like this, I feel it means something more. Something greater. Pray, give my thanks to the blacksmith who repaired it. 'Tis fine work she has done. Impeccable, I should say. And you, Sir Arisen, you have my sincerest gratitude. You have breathed life anew into one of our kingdom's most sacred treasures. I can imagine no worthier symbol of a sovereign's majesty. I await the day it shall adorn your noble hip with bated breath.
So the next time you have a banana, just remember, not only is it worse than it used to be, but it cost a coup and a civil war to get there.
I'm sure the people of Guatemala were really just in need of democracy and freedom.
Why is society celebrating the destruction of the family? Why? I'll tell you why. Because divide and conquer is the oldest trick in the book. The more they can weaken the family unit, they can weaken the human species and make them into slaves in a matrix simulation. Family first, this creates strength and bond. Divorce culture, hookup culture, swinging 70s, MK Ultra, it's all connected. The Marxist manifesto, the Communist manifesto, divide and conquer is the oldest trick in the book. Look at some of the strongest living cultures. They have a family unit. The Japanese, the Italians, Latin Americans, the family unit is still in place, intact. This will bring strength inside your own genealogy. When we have separation, then they can do all sorts of things. They can give the separated people weapons and create coup d'etats as they did in Rwanda and many other places in the world. Divide and conquer is the oldest trick in the book. Don't fall for it.
Yeah, I think it goes even beyond the family unit. I feel like us as humans have all been divided based on these minuscule differences, so we can never band together and stand up against injustice.
I want you to tell me one more time what that does.
It's an electromagnetic force field, so I don't get snow on my windshield. Got it from Tinu for $2.99.
Timu is amazing at marketing. If they convince mom to buy an electromagnetic force field that prevents snow buildup, they could sell salt to its love. And if it works, sign me up. That was the video, guys. Don't forget to sub up, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I made it for my mom. It was actually in honor of my grandmother who passed away last year. I was able to trace one of her recipes and heat transfer violin onto this tea towel. It's in her.
With Jaguar Ray. Not only that, we've got Courtney Burgess coming in, and he's like the most talked about man at the epicenter of the most sold controversial book banned in the world. With Jaguar, they're going to be having a conversation. But first of all, last time we were on with Jaguar, there was so many questions came in, but we didn't really get enough time to go over things thoroughly, and that's what I hope we can do in this first 30 minutes before Courtney comes on. So Q, thank you for coming back so soon, Jaguar.
Well, the truth is, I'm growing to love you guys. I love what goes on over here. Roro was like my cousin. He's like my Scottish cousin from 8 generations ago. And Shane is such a wonderful guy. And I'm going to be making it to my P.O. box. So you'll be seeing something very special soon. I'm honored. And, it's just, I love anybody who's interested in getting to the heart of what's real. But these are explosive conversations, and we'd be fools to not take them step by step. Nobody wants to get called.
What's this? Come to admire my sculptures, have you? Oh, to think my eminence as a collector will reach the ears of the arisen. If only my collection were complete, I'd fain allow you to inspect it. Alas, the sculpture that I commissioned to be its centerpiece is yet to arrive. And to wound my pride to have you behold my collection yet is made known. If your curiosity shall not be denied, however, mayhap you consider paying a visit to the sculptor in my stead. The man's home is located in Makba town. You need only tell him that I eagerly await the sculpture's completion. Sorry, we gather some information.
been in court by the feds.
What do you think about Courtney getting called into the court by the feds?
I think it was appropriate, considering very appropriate. I just don't understand why nobody is asking how he ended up in front of the feds and I did.
Is that coming?
I doubt it anytime soon.
No. You know why she's up in court in the court? She'll destroy everyone. She'll destroy them all. They can't. I'm gonna cry.
I wish somebody would take me to court. All they do is make threats and hire more stalkers and weirdos to hunt me down and try to disrupt.
Do you think the fact that Courtney got called into the court authenticates the book?
No, I think it authenticates what I've been thinking about. I think they call bullshit.
Could you explain what you mean by that?
I'm going to put it to you this way. Whatever tapes he sent them, or he gave them, or they already had. They just wanted to see what he had. See if it lined up. See if it matched up. Maybe see if any of that was edited from what they already had. He got caught lying. And that's why there's a gag rule. What I want to know is if he only had a portion of tapes, those aren't all of the tapes, how can he be so certain that Miss Knowles was never around? That Miss Knowles was never around. Like you taped him for some really interesting people. I know he's going out of his way to try to disparage me or discourage people from talking to me. I also think it's interesting that his lawyer is someone who appeared to agree with my position on some things, or my position on some things. Reached out to me, and then when I hit her back with a real message, she just went ghost. I am speaking of Ariel Kid. I find it very interesting that she also represents that woman who was assaulted with that remote control. Also think it's even more interesting that nobody's talking about who made the phone call. Because some research has been done, information has been shared, and it wasn't just a neighborhood witness that called the police that day. It was a law enforcement officer himself. So I'm just trying to figure out, while you're advocating for this witness, why wasn't that mentioned? It wasn't just a witness, a neighbor who saw this woman run out and saw the car speed. It was a law enforcement officer that called. And then law enforcement came out. And as Ariel's witness stated, and she's repeated on several occasions, no one wanted to believe her, which is why she didn't get further into dropping names. That kind of suggests there was some intimidation when the witness's co-worker showed up. But all of that, and the simple fact that no one took that woman to a hospital to get a great kit or to, just do a little intake with a psych doctor to make sure that she wasn't having hallucinations or delusions, why there wasn't a blood panel ran on her to see if there were substances in her system. I don't understand how that didn't happen after she had been assaulted and drugged by a woman who wasn't even a qualified medical condition. Why is no one talking about KK? The phlebotomist who apparently rigs people up with IV and knows how to administer shots. I don't know. If I were an attorney and I would represent that, I believe in his passion. I was an attorney. I would be bringing up all these things. I don't know. Maybe I'm preaching.
So you're saying there's a containment exercise in progress surrounding what's out there, what they know is out there now, and they're going to protect vested
I
interests.
said that I believed all along that.
Okay, I was like, I'm gonna switch games and it'll be back on. Better get